In May 2022, $40 billion disappeared from the crypto market. Not in a crash, not in a hack. It just stopped existing. And the man behind it all had spent years telling the world this was impossible. To understand the Luna collapse, you first need to understand what Luna was. Luna was the native token of the Terra blockchain. Terra was built around a radical idea, a stablecoin that didn't need dollars to stay stable. Now, a stablecoin is a cryptocurrency designed to always be worth $1. Most stablecoins are backed by actual dollars held in a bank. But Terra's stablecoin, called UST, worked differently. UST maintained its dollar peg through an algorithm, through math, through incentives, through the relationship between UST and Luna. If that sounds complicated, it's because it is. And if it sounds risky, it's because it was. Now, the center of this experiment was one man, Kwon. Kwon was born in South Korea in 1999. He studied computer science at Stanford. He worked briefly at Apple and Microsoft before entering the crypto world. He wasn't quiet about his ambitions. Kwon spoke with the kind of confidence that makes rooms fall silent. He was sharp, he was fast, and he had almost no tolerance for people who questioned him. He once referred to critics of his project as, and I quote, poor. In 2018, he co-founded Terraform Labs, the company behind Terra and Luna. His pitch was audacious. He wanted to build a decentralized financial system, one that didn't rely on traditional banks or governments. And for a while, the market believed him completely. By 2021, Terra was one of the most talked about projects in all of crypto. Luna's price had risen from under $1 to nearly $100. UST had grown into one of the largest stablecoins in the world. Terraform Labs launched Anchor Protocol, a platform that offered 20% annual yield on UST deposits. 20%! In a world where your savings account pays less than 1%. 20% annual yield on a stablecoin sounded almost too good to be true. It was. But at the time, billions of dollars were flooding in. Retail investors, institutions, hedge funds, everyone wanted a piece of the ecosystem that Kwon was building. At its peak, the Terra ecosystem was worth over $40 billion. Luna was in the top 10 cryptocurrencies by market cap. And then someone decided to test it. Now, to understand why Luna collapsed, you need to understand how UST kept its dollar peg. The system worked like this. If UST fell below $1, you could burn UST to mint new Luna. If UST rose above $1, you could burn Luna to mint new UST. The idea was that arbitrage traders would always correct the price. If the math held, the peg held. But there was one problem buried inside all of that logic. The system only worked if people believed it worked. If confidence broke, if enough people tried to exit at the same time, the algorithm wouldn't print its way out. It would just create more Luna, crashing Luna's price, which would destroy confidence in UST even further. Basically, a death spiral. Critics had warned about this for years. Kwon had dismissed them every single time. In May 2022, someone triggered the collapse. Now, to this day, we don't know exactly who, but we do know what happened. A massive amount of UST was sold on the open market, all at once. The peg broke. UST slipped below $1. Panic set in. Most UST was sold. The algorithm minted more Luna to try to resolve the peg, and Luna's price dropped, which destroyed more confidence in UST, so more UST was sold, and more Luna was minted. The cycle fed itself, faster and faster. Within just days, Luna went from nearly $90 to a fraction of a cent. UST lost its dollar peg entirely. $40 billion gone in less than a week. Now, it is easy to talk about the collapse in numbers. I mean, 40 billion, $90 to zero, 1 week. But behind every number, there were people. People who had put their savings into Anchor Protocol for that 20% yield. People who had been told that it was safe, because it was algorithmic, because it was decentralized, because Kwon said so. Retirement funds, emergency savings, years of work. Some of them lost everything. There were reports of people taking drastic action in the aftermath, of communities torn apart, of lives derailed. The algorithm didn't care, the code didn't care, and for a long time, Kwon didn't seem to care either. Now, while $40 billion evaporated, Kwon was on Twitter. He didn't apologize, he didn't go quiet, he posted memes. When critics pointed to the collapse as proof that they had been right all along, Kwon dismissed them. He called the death spiral a market event. He blamed external attackers. He blamed the shorts. He blamed everyone, except the design that he had built and defended for years. And then he proposed a solution. A new chain, a new token, Luna 2.0, as if the problem had been the technology and not the man running it. The market did not react warmly. Regulators, however, reacted very differently. South Korea issued an arrest warrant for Kwon. Interpol issued a red notice. The U.S. Department of Justice began an investigation. So Kwon fled. For months, his whereabouts were unknown. He continued posting on social media from hiding, dismissed the charges, calling the case politically motivated, telling his followers he had done nothing wrong. The man who had called critics poor was now a fugitive, and in March 2023, he was arrested in Montenegro, trying to board a private jet with falsified Costa Rican documents. Now, the founder who had promised to reinvent global finance was caught at an airport with a fake passport. In 2024, he was extradited to the United States to face federal fraud charges. The man who once called his critics poor was now fighting to stay out of prison. The Luna story is not just a story about a failed algorithm. It's a story about what happens when arrogance becomes a product feature. Kwon didn't just believe in Terra. He believed that belief itself was enough, that confidence could substitute for proof, that dismissing critics loudly was the same as answering them. It wasn't. There is a pattern worth noticing here across all of these stories. The founders who cause the most damage are rarely the quiet ones. They're the ones who are the loudest about their own integrity. Kwon didn't hide his confidence, he weaponized it, and the people who paid the price were the ones who trusted it. In finance, as in life, certainty is the most expensive thing you can sell anyone. Terra promised to reinvent money, to build a financial system that was fairer, faster, and free from the old institutions. Instead, it became yet another cautionary tale about what happens when innovation outpaces honesty. A blockchain built on a flawed assumption, a founder built on unchecked confidence, and $40 billion built on something that was never as stable as it looked. The algorithm always had a weakness. Kwon knew the critics. He read their arguments. He chose to ignore them. And when the math finally broke, it wasn't the algorithm that failed. It was the man who refused to fix it. But if this story changed how you think about what makes something valuable, let me know down in the comments. And if you want to keep following the money, wherever it leads, Business Mysteries has a lot more stories to tell.